All right, so we're going to talk about the mathematical side of graphing today. Make sure you put your name. Today is 10/22/18. Okay, the first thing we're going to get into is just the vocabulary. Now, guys, please remember, you'll notice on the homework board, it does say that we have a coordinate plane and integer test on Friday. So, vocabulary, y'all know, vocabulary goes on the test. And since y'all are advanced, there is no word bank. So please make sure this week, not just Thursday, make sure this whole week we're taking some time to look over the vocabulary. It starts on number 5 in your binder, which is the notes on integers and number lines. And it goes up to today. Today will be the last day of vocabulary. So as of today, you'll have all of your vocabulary that you need. Okay? For the test, huh? For the test on Friday. For the test on Friday, you'll have all the vocabulary you need, all right? All right, so a coordinate plane, guys. A coordinate plane is probably something you've seen before. All right, all a coordinate plane is, and sorry, I moved my stuff around. Here we go. All right, all a coordinate plane is it's an illustration. It's the actual graph. It's the illustration that you put all of your points on. So it's an illustration that has an x-axis. So we're filling this in. And y-axis. And is numbered by integers. Okay, so integers, that's one of our vocabulary words. Does anyone remember what an integer is? Juliana?
It's any whole number.
All right, not just any whole number. Whole numbers are actually just positives. Are integers just positive? And negative. So it's any positive or negative whole number, including 0. All right. Oh, what is 0? So 0 has some special rules. What's special about 0? Julia, Hayden.
It's not positive or negative.
It's not positive or negative. Trying to think, what are some other positive? What is special about positive numbers?
They're above 0.
They're above 0. They go to the right. And they're always greater than the negatives, right? Positive are always greater than negative. Okay. But a coordinate plane is just the picture where we have something called an x-axis and a y-axis, and they're numbered by integers. So I want you to think about a number line. Think about a number line. It's going straight across, right? That's what we learned about first. That is actually your x-axis. All right? What a y-axis is it's another number line that's going up and down that goes through that original one. So you're going to have two number lines, one going straight across, which is your x, and another one going up and down, which is your y. And together they make a T, and that thing together is called the coordinate plane. All right? Now, on a coordinate plane, you have something called the origin. Now, can someone tell me what is an origin? Like, outside of math class, when would you use the word origin? What would that be talking about? Jordan? Where something starts. That's like the perfect description. It's like the beginning, where things began, where something started. All right, perfect. All right, so what the origin is, guys, is it's that center piece. It's where the x-axis and the y-axis meet, and it's going to be your starting point for everything we do on there. Yes, Kaden? It would be a 0, but it would be 2 zeros. It would be 0, 0, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. All right, so the origin is the point of intersection of the x-axis and the y-axis on a coordinate plane, on a coordinate plane. All right, So the cool thing about where they cross is going to be at 0. It's going to be where my positive numbers start going to the right, where my negative numbers start going to the left. If I'm looking at that one going up and down, it's where my positive numbers start going up and my negative numbers start going down. So it is the starting point for everything. It is the beginning, as Jordan said. All right? I'm going to give you a second to make sure you have the whole definition written out before I move it out of the way so we can get to the math part of the day. I'm in a much better place now. So first period I taught like they'd seen this and been doing this forever, and then I realized, nope, y'all really didn't do a whole lot of this last year. So changed my teaching style. So if you're watching this in your first period, I'm sorry. All right, but we were able to adapt and improve for the rest of the day. All right, y'all ready? All right, notes on the coordinate plane. All right, so guys, this whole thing, this is called the coordinate plane. And if you look, do y'all see my number line going right through here? All right, this is the one going straight across. Isn't that how we would normally draw a number line going straight across? All right, that's the original one. That's called the x-axis. All right, the one going through the center, going straight across is the x-axis. All right, and then you see I have some other numbers going up and down. All right, you'll see I have that one going up and down. All right, and this one is called the y-axis. And I want you to notice the way I wrote my y, because I wrote it kind of differently. I wrote it different than than I normally would. Normally when I write a capital Y, I just make a really big lowercase y. Right? Some of y'all might do that as well. But I want us to think back to like kindergarten, first grade, when we first learned about a capital Y. Isn't that how we wrote it out? All right? The reason I write it here, y'all, I still think about this, even like now. Even now, way past 6th grade. All right? That line, do y'all see how it's going up and down? For my Y? It's because it's the line that goes up and down. And I know it seems silly. All right, but that's how I remember it, is that line going up and down means the Y is what goes up and down. All right? Now, there are a lot of other techniques to help you remember. I'm going to kind of talk about some of those. To me, that's the one that's stuck in my head. All right? Another way to remember that, x-axis is going straight across, right? Y-axis is going up and down. The x-axis is where we would crawl before we stand up and walk. So this is you have to crawl before you stand up and walk, okay? All right. You'll notice when I have my x and y axis, it splits this up into 4 different sections. Do y'all see that? You'll see my 4 sections, and you can see these arrows are pointing to them. Those sections are called quadrants. Each of those sections is called a quadrant. And when we label the quadrants, we're going to label those with 1, 2, 3, and 4. But what's different about them is we label them with a Roman numeral. Raise your hand if you've heard of numbers called Roman numerals. All right, a few of us. All right, what if I tell you, keep your hand up if you're raising your hand, what if I tell you that's where you have like the I's and the V's and the X's to make a number? Does that sound like something you maybe seen before? They're usually like at the beginning of textbooks and stuff.
It's what the NFL uses for Super Bowls.
It's what the NFL uses for Super Bowls? All right, hands down. All right, so guys, we only have to know 4 of them, and we're going to learn the 4 most simple Roman numerals, okay? So we're going to learn this first quadrant. You all see I have positive on my X and I have positive on my Y right there. Positive on the X, positive on the Y. This is where we're going to start, and this is quadrant 1. And hopefully it makes sense. We're going to start in the positive area because that's the easy area. All right? So I have positive X's, positive Y's. That's quadrant 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go in the counterclockwise direction. We're going to go backwards and make a circle. So instead of like drawing a circle around, we're going to go backwards. All right? So after quadrant 1, this next one is going to be quadrant 2, which is like a capital I, but you have 2 bars inside. Okay. And then we're going to keep going down in the circle, and then we're going to have quadrant 3, which has the 3 bars inside. Okay. And then quadrant 4, now this is the one that's different. Quadrant 4, we're going to have an I and a V inside. Okay. IV. And if we need to just go underneath here, remember this is 1, this one is 2, this one is 3, this one is 4. We just need a little reminder for what those actual numbers are. But when I'm labeling it, I have to use the Roman numeral, all right? Kind of, I want to say annoying, but, you know, it's just different. All right, we're going to graph these points, and I'm going to add on here that we're also going to name the quadrant. All right, so we're going to graph them, and we're also going to name the quadrant. Because this is on the homework, and you have to do this on the homework. And I noticed, again, first period, that I obviously did not emphasize them enough. So we're going to kind of practice with those as well. All right. What did we say the origin is? What did we say the origin is? Not the definition, just in general. What is the origin, Hayden? Where it starts. So, guys, for us, the origin is going to be where we start. So I want everyone to put the tip of your pencil in the origin. Everyone just put the tip of your pencil in the origin. We're not putting a dot. We're just holding our pencil there for a second. Hold the tip of your pencil in the origin. All right. Now, guys, I want you to look over here. So I'm going to kind of do this left-handed. All right. So do y'all see where it says graph A? And we have 2, -5. Oh. Okay, pick your pencil up for a second. I'm sorry. I forgot. We've got to talk about what that 2, -5 is. That 2, -5 tells us our x, and it also tells us our y. So I'm sorry, I kind of skipped this. This is a little bit important, okay, guys? So we have our x, comma, our y. The x is the x coordinate, so it tells me where your x is going to go. And the y tells me where the y is going to go. It's the y coordinate. And where those two lines meet up is where my dot's going to go. But I'm going to show you an easier way to do it versus like normally you would find like your x and then you'd find your y and you find where they meet and put a dot. I found out that that was not working the best for us first period. So I'm going to show you another technique, okay? Remember we say you have to crawl before you can walk. Crawling is side to side. Walking is up and down. Are y'all with me? All right. So now we're ready. So this is my x and this is my y. So I'm going to put my dot. There's my pen at my origin. Okay, so now we're really doing it. Pencil tip at the origin. Guys, are you ready? All right. This says 2 is first. So I'm going to crawl 2 spaces. Now, guys, since that 2 is positive, am I going to go forward or am I going to go backward? If it's a positive 2, guys, positive, I'm going to crawl forwards 2 spaces, okay? So here's my dot. I'm going to go over. 1, 2. Y'all see how I did that? I'm going to do it again. Here's my origin. I'm going to count over. 1, 2. Are y'all okay with that? Have I put a dot or anything? No, I'm just holding my pencil tip there. Are we okay? All right. Then what does it say? Then it says -5. So that means for my walking, I'm going to go -5. That's the up and down. If it's -5, am I going up or am I going down? If it's -5, we're going to go down, guys. We got to think about this. Negative means backwards and down. Positive means forwards and up. Like logically, hopefully that kind of works for y'all. All right. So let's do this again from A. It says +2, -5. So I'm going to crawl forwards 2. And then -5 means I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting every one of those like crosshairs. Okay, so do y'all see where I put my dot? All right, now guys, I'm going to double check that. Here's my dot. If I follow it up to the x, what number is that? 2. If I follow it over to the y, what number is that? That's a -5. Okay. So we went up. There's the 2. There's the -5. So is that where I said it would be? All right, what do you think I need to put next to that dot? The A. The A. So we labeled it as A. Okay. What quadrant is that going to be in? What quadrant is that in, Julia? The 4th. So I'm going to put my 4th Roman numeral. So my quadrant was quadrant 4. Are there questions on how I did that first one? Okay. So for my next one, again, I'm going to start with my pencil tip in the center. All right. This time, where am I going to crawl to? Raise your hand if you can tell me. Where am I crawling? Bailey? -3. So am I going forwards or backwards? Backwards. So I'm going to go back. 1. And guys, I know it doesn't say a 1 there, but do you see that mark going through? They just didn't write it in because there was not a lot of space there. If you want to fill it in, you can. You can put a -1 there just like I did. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. I'm sorry. Bailey said I'm going to go backwards 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, where am I going to walk to? What does it say for my walking? Hayden? It's a 0. So am I going to go up or down? No, I'm just going to go ahead and put my dot right there where we left, where we were. So there we go. And what am I going to label that one? B. Okay. All right, are there any questions on how we did that? All right, now I got a little bit of a problem with that B. What quadrant is it in? Julia? 2. So I definitely, my B I wrote in the 2. Could I have written my B down here when I labeled it? Yeah. That dot, is it on top or on the bottom? No, do you see how my dot is on the line? If it's on the line, is it in the top or in the bottom? No, so can I really tell, is it 2 or 3? I can't tell. It could be either one of those, right, because it's on the line. So what we're going to do, guys, if it's on the line, it's not actually in a quadrant. Where is it located? It's not in the origin is in the center. It's not at the origin. Where is it located? The x-axis. So instead of writing which quadrant, we're just going to label that this is in the x-axis. And by doing that, we're showing it's not in a quadrant, it's on a line. All right? Questions about how we did that? All right, y'all ready to see? Yes.
I don't know which one to put for number 9. Like which box which quadrants.
Okay, are you talking about like the A and the B? Okay, so I'm going to have you work with me on stone, okay? So on C stone. All right, so I'm going to start with my pencil at the origin, right? Okay, so for C, what's my first number? 0. So am I going to crawl anywhere? Remember, because it's crawl before we walk, so am I going anywhere side to side? No. So now then for my walking, it says 4. So where am I going to go? Up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to put a dot there because we already said we don't crawl anywhere. Is that what you're talking about, where to put the dot at? We can't put A on that graph because look what happens. So when I do A, so there's my origin, right? It said I have to crawl how far? +2. So that means I have to go forward 2. Can I just decide I want to go backwards? No, we have to go forwards. And then it says -5. Does negative mean we're going up? Can I just decide I want to go up? No, we had to go down because it was a negative. So I went down 5. And that's why A ended up in the 4th. Does that make sense? These numbers being positive and negative tell us where to go. All right, but I can't go up 2 because it's always X, comma, Y. You got to crawl side to side before you walk. You just can't decide, I want to go this direction. You don't get to make that decision. You have to do it in a certain order. Does that make sense? So that's why you have to do it in that order. You don't get to pick. Okay? So this last one that I graphed, I didn't crawl. I crawled 0, but I went up 4. So that's my C. So let's label that as C. Okay, is that dot in one of my boxes? What am I going to label for the quadrant on C? What am I going to label for that? Aiden?
Y-axis.
It's just on the y-axis. It's just on the y-axis. Okay? All right, D, starting at my origin. Starting at my origin, Malachi, where am I going to crawl to? 5. To the right or to the left? To the right. We're going forward. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what do I need to do? Go up 3 because it's positive. So I'm going up 1, 2, 3. All right? And so do you see how we crawled and then we walked every time, okay? So that's D. What quadrant is that going to be in? Savannah. Double check. There's D. What quadrant is that? Look at my arrow right here. 1. 1. Okay. All right, guys, do y'all have any questions about how we just did those? Okay. What if I gave you, let's do one more, E. E, let's graph -4, -1. -4, -1. Okay? All right, so stone, I'm starting at my origin. Where am I going to go first? I just added one more to it. We're doing E, -4, -1. Left, how many? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what am I going to do? After I go left 4, what do I need to do now, Lily? Down, how many? 1. So I'm literally going to that line right underneath the 4. All right, and that's going to be my E. Okay, and what quadrant is that one going to be in? Ansley? 3. All right, let's look at these next ones. Next one, right? The ordered pair that names each point. So this time the dots are already there, aren't they? So now all I've got to do is write in the ordered pair. Warning, be careful. When I wrote the ordered pairs up above, what did all of them have around them? Parentheses. Can you just list 2 numbers? No, that's just 2 numbers that you gave me. Once I put those parentheses around them, that's what shows me, oh, these go on a graph. This is an X and a Y. All right? All right, so our first letter it says is A. So guys, you can do this a couple of ways. You can look at A. This has numbers on it. You can look at the numbers and label it. Or I'm going to start at the origin. To get to A, am I going to go forwards or backwards? I'm going backwards, right? So let's count. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we got to get to the dot. Am I just trying to get to the letter? We're trying to get to the dot. Okay, so we went 1, 2, 3, 4. Since I went backwards 4, what number is that? -4. Okay. Once I go backwards 4, now what do I need to do to get to A? Sasha? Go down. So we're going down 1, 2, 3. So what am I going to write for that next number, Lauren? -3. All right. So we got -4, -3. What quadrant is A in? What quadrant is that? Hayden? 3. All right. E. For E. When I crawl, how far am I going to crawl for E? How far am I going to crawl, Bailey?
2.
1, 2. We went over 2. So I'm going to put a +2 since we went forwards. All right. Once I get to +2, now what am I doing? Sasha? Going up, how many? 1. So I went up 1, and that puts me at E. So is that a +1 or a -1? +1. So I get 2, 1. What quadrant is that going to be in? Gabe? 1. All right. All right, F. All right, you'll notice, guys, I like to go ahead and put my parentheses so I don't forget about them. For F. Caitlin, how far am I going to crawl? 0. Am I going left or right, guys? No, so that first number is 0. Then how far do I have to walk? Hayden. -2 spaces. And what quadrant do we have here, Kaden? This is the y-axis. Very good. So it's not actually in a box because it's on the line. All right, what if instead I gave you the ordered pair 5, -7? 5, -7. What do you think I want you to do here? Ansley? What I'm wanting you to do here is I'm wanting you to name the point. This graph already has points on it. What point is at 5, -7? So we're going to start at the origin. And I wrote that backwards, guys. I'm sorry. -7, 5 is what I should have written. All right, so I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to go forwards or backwards, 7. Backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 puts me on the edge, but is that okay? Yeah? And then what do I have to do, Bailey?
Go up y-axis.
Go up the y-axis. We're going up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where did I end up?
On the y-axis.
And we ended up,
Not on the y-axis, on the, what's that called right here?
that's just, we ended up at G. And this is on the edge, but it's still in the quadrant. Because, guys, does this graph actually stop right there? No, it's going to keep going. See how this has arrows? This is going to keep going forever and ever and ever. So even though G is on a line, what quadrant would that be in? It would still be in the second quadrant. Okay? That's a really good observation, Bailey. So it is on like the end, but remember this graph actually keeps going, so that's just kind of in the middle. All right? Guys, are there questions about that? All right, I want us to flip our paper over. Flip our paper over. All right, guys. Yeah, we're gonna work We're gonna work 2 together really quick, just to make sure you know what it's asking you to do. So on number 1, it says use the coordinate plane to the right, so that's over here, to identify the point. So all I'm doing is I'm writing down the point. So again, we have -3, 4, right? So I'm going to put my pen or pencil at the origin. And if it says -3, where am I going for that? -3. We're going backwards. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then it says +4. So now where am I going? Up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where did I end up? K. So all you have to do here is write down K. All right, and we're on the back now. All right, let's look at the second one real quick, because this is where people have gotten a little confused. It says use the coordinate plane, write the ordered pair, then identify the quadrant. So how many answers should I have on number 7? 2. So on number 7 it says C. We're using this graph still. The graph from up above, we're still using that graph. So I'm going to find C. There's C. All right? I'm going to start at the origin. Which direction am I going? Forwards or backwards to get to C? Backwards. All right? Think about it like reading a piece of paper. When I read the paper, forwards is going that direction. Backwards is going the opposite, okay? So we're going to go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what number is that going to be? -4 since we went back. And then what am I doing? Going up 1. So since I went up, that's going to be +1. And then what quadrant is C located in? Julia? The second. Okay. Guys, you're doing the rest of that side. All right, a lot of people have finished today. You have time. If you have questions, please come and ask. Please come and ask me if you have questions. All right. If you need any help, I'll be at my desk. If you have questions in the morning, come and see me in the morning. I'll be in my room, okay?